All right, we'll call our regular meeting to order. It's the Bay Path Regional School Committee, March 4th, 2024 meeting. And we'll do the pledge again.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item we have on the agenda this evening is approval of the minutes from, we'll first take our regular session minutes from February 5th, 2024.
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second. Any questions, changes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
And, okay, one abstention.
Oh, I apologize, I wasn't here last
That
month.
would be the same.
We have 3 abstentions,
Yeah.
so motion carries with 3 abstentions.
Thank you, sorry about that.
No worries, thank you. Next up, we have the special meeting minutes from February 15th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any changes, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Approval of the warrants. The warrants are circulating the table. If everyone has an opportunity to please sign those. Is there a motion to approve and sign the warrants?
Moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Correspondence. Any correspondence tonight? Nope, okay. Kirsten, you're up. Student advisory.
Everything has been continuing to go well at school. All the winter sports have been coming to an end, and all our teams had amazing seasons. The girls' basketball team just won the state vocational championship last weekend. They worked hard all season. It was a great game to watch. With the winter sports ending, spring sports are starting to begin. Each spring sports team had a meeting throughout last week to send out important information regarding the seasons, and everyone is excited about the new seasons, and we all look forward to seeing the teams perform. NHS applications just recently went out for all the students that are eligible to apply, and they're due soon, and the students will be chosen and inducted next month. The Leo Club has continued their community service by making St. Patrick's Day cards at their last meeting for the overload patients. And the class of 2024 steering committee has been heavily discussing prom, the class trip, and graduation because those events are approaching quickly. And senior superlatives were sent out, voted on, and chosen. It really engaged our class and allowed us to participate in a fun high school tradition. There's also a semi-formal dance in 2 weeks on March 16th, which students are really excited about.
Thank you, Kirsten. Where is the senior class trip this year?
It's at Six Flags.
Six Flags, okay. That sounds like fun. Any questions for Kirsten? No, thank you. We'll continue on to old business. We don't have any agenda item old business this evening. So we'll continue on to citizens participation. Is there anyone here for citizens participation? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. We have a presentation this evening, a curriculum update. So I pass this over to Mr. Thacker.
Through the chair, Ms. Packard has a video for this presentation.
Before I do the video, if I could, I just want to make sure I recognize a few people that are very important pieces of this whole operation. So, instructional coaching is a key component in any organization. It supports teachers, it builds collaborative practice. More importantly, it builds opportunity for us to grow and create toolboxes that help kids get to the highest level of student engagement possible. I do have Mrs. Greer with me tonight. I'm going to have her speak after I show the video. Unfortunately, Ms. O'Connor couldn't be with us tonight. She wanted to come along and present, but I put together a 5 or 6 minute video just about what instructional coaching looks like here at Bay Path. But I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention Dr. Sam McGuan, who's like the catalyst behind all of this going on. Absolute rock star team. Each and every day they're talking curriculum, they're making connections with teachers, they're building capacity, and we're really trying to ensure that we help teachers understand it's okay to take risks and to think outside the box. Our kids deserve the highest level of education they can possibly get, and our teachers are perfect for it. A lot of them are doing it right now, they just don't know it, they just can't feel it yet. But we are getting there, and it's just such a vibe to see. And again, it takes time, it doesn't happen overnight. Okay, as we come in and see where we're at, we gather up as much information as we can, and then continue to build that toolbox. So take a peek here, I'm gonna circle back in a moment. One of my favorite songs of all time, Jackson 5. I don't know if you're old enough to be around when that happened, but I remember it as a kid. Nevertheless, hey everybody, we're getting to talk a little bit about instructional coaching, and I'm with Julie O'Connor here, and she is our instructional coach here at Bay Path. We're super excited to have her alongside. And Julie, this morning we're going to talk a little bit about instructional coaching and what it means. Bay Path has been fortunate enough to have, through the school committee's approval last year, to have an instructional coach working directly with our faculty this year to be able to help them look at strategies to become even more efficient with connecting with kids. Let's talk. First of all, Julie, welcome. That's a lot from me. I'm going to get into the expert in the field right now. Julie, talk a little bit about instructional coaching and what it means.
Sure. Hello, I'm Julie O'Connor. I've had over 20 years experience of teaching. I've been a middle school teacher and a high school teacher, and I've worked with extensive teachers and special ed teachers all throughout my career. And I have a lot of things to offer here at Bay Path and have been doing so since the beginning of the year. So we offer here student-centered coaching. It's a model that we researched and decided that it would be a good fit for our staff and our students. Student-centered coaching is when we are looking at the student. That's our focus. So the teachers and I work together in looking at the goals of what the kids need to accomplish.
And what is the overall goal for all of us in education? Is to provide high levels of student engagement, is to develop inquiry processes within students to really take control of their own learning and just flourish. We want that. So we're shifting sometimes the mindset from that traditional teaching methodology to something a little bit different. And that's what universal design for learning does. It puts the onus of learning back into the hands of the student, and the teacher becomes the facilitator. I love that. Can you speak a little bit about what coaching cycles are? Here at Bay Path, we're looking to work through some coaching cycles. What does that mean?
Sure. So there are many different examples of coaching cycles. A full teaching coaching cycle is if somebody wants to look at a unit that they may have never implemented before, or something that they did in the past, and they want to dig deeper into it and use data to drive the lesson. So we start by sitting down and working on developing a pre-assessment assignment so we can look at where students start, and then we dive deep into what they want to accomplish through standards and goals and learning targets for the students. Then, like, the fun thing about teaching is that you can take one lesson and, depending upon your teacher, you can disseminate it in so many different types of ways, right? There's like so many ways to be a coach, right? And like if you're a track coach, you can have practice to be so many different ways, but you can accomplish the same thing. And it's the same thing in teaching. You can, accomplish your goals so many different ways. So that's like the beauty of being a teacher. So you sit down with the primary teacher in the classroom, and develop a lesson that makes them comfortable in how they want to deliver, but then you use the coach to like discover new tools to help the students engage in their learning. And that's why we use this universal design for learning, because we look at every single learner in the room. So we try to incorporate reading, listening, writing, something creative, so everybody in that room has an opportunity to show you their best and that they've accomplished the goal. And then at the end of the cycle, we look at the data that we've collected and we determine if the students have grown. And for the students that are still left in the area where they're still struggling with the knowledge, then we identify those students and then we do like educational strategies to cycle in the information that they're still missing, so then no one is left behind.
I love that. You know, I give Superintendent Brenner and his administrative team a lot of credit for thinking about how to provide tools not only for teachers, but also new ways of learning for kids. And this is exciting today. And one of the hardest things, and I talk about this all the time, is coachability and allowing and hoping that teachers understand this isn't anything. We want teachers to take risks. We want teachers to think differently. We want teachers to dream about tomorrow and creating critical thinkers and problem solvers as students. And a lot of our staff is doing that right now. It's just getting to that next level of not being afraid to try something new. And in education, that's probably one of the biggest barriers we ever come up against. Again, I mean, when you're a teacher and you're in the world, you're in a classroom by yourself,
you can become very comfortable with what you're doing. So if you're looking to fill a toolbox, you're looking to provide alternative means and methods for somebody to reach a child. Think about that from a conceptual mindset. That is fantastic.
Absolutely. We also offer, if like somebody doesn't want to look at an entire unit, I can help them with, we have mini coaching cycles or just consultations and observations. Like I can come into a classroom and observe somebody and be there for behavioral support or academic support if certain students are struggling in the classroom. I have many tools out like that. Plus I make a newsletter every month, and then every month I kind of work on a focus that is based off of like where I think the teachers might be in the school year and like what we talk about in meetings. And I like areas of identification, and then all of those resources are available to them. But a mini lesson could be, a mini coaching cycle could be taking just one lesson and saying, I've been doing reading in English class and we're just kind of getting like a little dry right now with like just reading it. Like what kind of strategy can I do to get the kids like up and moving and interacting and like working with each other and having the students do the legwork more than the teachers are doing. So that is like a very, like a well-designed lesson would have the students really digging deep. I always ask the teachers, if you feel like you're working too hard and the students aren't working enough, then maybe I can come in and we can help to see how the students can work a little bit harder.
It comes down to creating ownership of learning, and that's what we want to do. We want kids to grasp it and just run with it. I'm super excited about what you're doing, how it's going to go. We know it's going to take some time, and we want teachers to feel comfortable with us coming in. We want them to feel comfortable coming to Julie, and more importantly, we want them to understand that listen, we're all in a place where we continuously grow. Every one of us, from the top down, and if we do that, great things happen for kids. What do you think about that, Julie? There it is, right there. Thanks for spending time with us today. Instructional coaching, elementary teaching, all great stuff. Again, glad I'm on your team. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much.
I just want to build upon that for a second. I couldn't pass one of these around. This is just like a blueprint of what we're trying to accomplish and what the instructional coaches do. If you heard me say this, I really mean this. We all need coaches, from the superintendent to the principal down. We all need to be able to remove the barriers of our own silos, personal silos, and collaborate with each other in order to become the best possible versions of ourselves. And to cultivate that in an organization, it takes time. And I give a lot of credit to the teachers who are allowing our coaches to come into their classrooms and non-evaluatively, just offering feedback. You see, teachers give feedback to kids all day long. Our job now as administrators and coaches is to provide feedback that builds capacity. And if you think about it for a second, it's nothing more than us coming in and coaching to move forward. In the world of education, I've been in it for 30 years. It's very easy sometimes to believe in what you're doing. Sometimes it's very hard to step out of that comfort zone and grow. So for the teachers that have taken part in that, kudos. It's a great feeling. When you become a facilitator of what you do and not the orator and the orchestrator, guess what happens? Kids begin to take ownership, and the classroom begins to buzz. Dr. McGuan, Mrs. Reel, Mrs. O'Connor, they're doing a really, really good job. To get quantitative data, it's going to take time. And it's going to take teachers' ability to allow us into classrooms to allow the whole process to take place. So, Mrs. Reel, would you like to speak for a second? She's on the front lines, so I want to give her the floor.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to what we do during the day. I'm so grateful for all the wonderful improvements the school has had this year. I think we're just having a really phenomenal year, and one of the pieces of that puzzle is definitely the coaching. Does anyone have any questions about the handbook that Mr. Parker just handed out to you? No questions?
I have one, and I don't know if that's necessarily specific to the handout, but Mr. Packett used the term teachers that are allowing the coaches into the classroom. Can you elaborate on that? Is it all classrooms that we're covering, or is it truly only those classrooms where coaches are being allowed into the classroom?
Okay, good question. All teachers are welcome to use us. However, they don't have to, it's optional. So they would just have to set up an appointment with us, and we would, start the conversation of what their goals are, things of that nature. But it's not mandatory.
It's a shift, is what it comes down to. And when you shift a mindset, it takes time. It takes trust. It
It takes the ability to understand that when you come into a classroom, we're not there to tell you how to do your job. We're there to augment what you're doing to make it more effective for student learning. So yeah, so to say we're in every classroom, no, that's not the case at this point in time. Are we working to get there? We absolutely are. We look at our non-PTS teachers and we want to make sure we provide enough collateral support for them to be successful. We want them here. We want to hook them for life. We want our veterans to feel confident in what they do, to be able to say, listen, we're jumping on this bandwagon. The train is leaving the station. We're going to do what's right for kids. So, but again, in the first 180 days of a journey, it doesn't happen overnight. And to Mr. Grenier's point, when we talked about bringing teachers in and kids in, that's going to happen. That's coming. That's coming pretty quickly. But until we get that framework solely established, then it's going to take a little bit of time.
I think people are getting more comfortable with it too, and we do send out a newsletter each month highlighting a teacher who has used coaching, and so people can see what's happening inside the classroom and what wonderful things are taking place. And I do believe that this is the start of a bigger thing. People are starting to collaborate a lot more now, and I think that's just wonderful. It's not that we're saying that teachers aren't doing a good job, it's saying that putting two really highly qualified, competent individuals in a classroom and getting that synergy, it has a really big impact on student achievement. So
We call that problem solving. They're concepts.
I just have a question. Sometimes it can be really hard for a teacher to have administration and coaching come in and observe them and then kind of say, okay, this is what you could be doing. Have we given teachers the opportunity to maybe observe each other? Somebody who has had that coaching and is successful with it, to observe a colleague that they maybe have a good relationship with, to kind of drive it a little bit more, to make them feel a little bit more confident and comfortable with having a coaching session?
it's definitely an option that is available. I'm not sure a lot of people have taken advantage of that at this time, but it's definitely something that is available to
So it is available.
Yeah.
So in a previous district where I worked, we did those. We did the learning walks. We did the observations for teachers for teachers, and they worked really, really well. Again, it doesn't happen overnight. So part of our strategic plan, and we'll talk about that coming up a little bit when Superintendent Brenner has an opportunity to give a little background, is working towards those types of opportunities. Again, we gotta break down the little barriers that are there right now, and those are those barriers of fear of evaluation versus coaching. They're two different things. They're 100% two separate items. And we want teachers to feel as though they can talk to anybody on the coaching team and work on any tool sets that will make them better. But thank you for bringing that up. It's very powerful. At a high school level, it's a little bit different than it is at a middle school level than it is at an elementary level.
Correct.
When you have teams already existing, it's a lot easier. Here, when you have departments, they're not all logistically together and on the same page. And I will give the teachers a huge shout out and kudos. They've done yeoman's work with scope and sequence and redefining what it's all about. They've really rolled up their sleeves and they're working hard to get that framework really, really secure. And that's a tribute to their hard work and their belief in what they teach. And once the scope and sequence gets in place, guess what? Collaborative practice just starts to begin to move forward. So looking forward to that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Jeff?
Thanks. I'm just going to say, just a question, you may not have the stat or keep track. What percentage of classrooms have we been in? Has this been? Do we have any idea ballpark?
So it's a really good question. So I can say off the top of my head, probably about 5 teachers right now have taken a lot of advantage of the coaching aspect of this. But the coaching aspect is in everything that we do. It's in every weekly message that I put out.
Yeah.
It's all about that understanding of what the growth process is all about. So a lot of times there's fear with it. Let's call it what it is. If you've been doing the same thing for 12 years, 14 years, 16 years, and all of a sudden somebody's telling you to get better, that kind of stings for a second. We gotta depersonalize what growth looks like. We gotta be able to have those conversations that are not trying to make people feel uncomfortable, but helping them see what's around the corner. And when you get to that level of trust and relationships, things just start to happen. You can't, it takes time, but that's a really, really good question. Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead, Superintendent Brenner.
Go ahead, Helen, if you had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just
I guess I don't exactly understand. Do you kind of act like, when you take the child out of the classroom, are you acting like a school psychologist? Are you trying to build their confidence? Or are you actually teaching them this subject that they're not doing well in? I don't understand what you do. It says here, coaches will listen non-judgmentally while offering support and solutions.
For
What is the
teachers.
child supposed to say to you?
That's for teachers, not for
Pardon?
students. That is for
That's for
teachers,
teachers.
not for students.
Oh, okay, I see. But anyway,
Listening to, you
So
know,
I'm a
maybe
child,
the
I'm a student.
frustrations of teaching, you know, sometimes not knowing exactly what you could do better. There's so many diverse learning styles that we have in our classrooms, you know, kids with all different learning preferences and daily issues that they go through, reworking the curriculum, finding new creative lesson plans. You know, sometimes it's just lending an ear to listen. You know.
But also building a framework to help them. So for instance, if if a teacher's talking to a coach and a child's misbehaving in class, it's about engagement issues. How is that teacher gonna provide a new strategy to that teacher to help that child engage? What does that look like? From lesson plans, to make them more rich and more opportunities for kids to be involved. Does that help at all?
no, suppose I'm the student and I seem to be depressed or something like that, and you're trying to get to the bottom of what's wrong, why I'm not progressing well in class. You don't know why, teacher just doesn't know why I'm not responding to the teaching. What would you say to them?
So if I could take
Yes.
that, that's a student services. So that's our social emotional support.
Well-
So the coaching and the data specialists are for instruction. But for the student support, the student who isn't grasping it on an individual basis or a student struggling with life issues, those are student support services team takes over on that. So there could be, if a teacher notices that, the teacher makes a referral to a counselor. And then the counselor takes over on that. They're licensed to do that, they know how to do that. Teachers identify students in crisis and then refer. And then we have the professionals come in and take care of all that. So our school psychologists, school adjustment, and our school counselors will handle all of that.
Okay, so supposing I'm a really well-rounded student and I'm happy and everything, but I'm doing terrible in history, what would you do?
Well, we would sit down and go through a coaching cycle, so identifying the goals, maybe coming up with some really creative lesson plans where kids can get engaged, getting them up and moving, using choice boards through the UDL theory, where kids can decide what they want to do. You give them 7 different choices and let them pick what they want to do. It could be music, it could be writing poetry, it could be making a speech, it could be organizing a sit-in, it could be whatever. You know, so it's a lot of different choices where a kid could choose what they want to do.
So, sounds very helpful.
It is, and our teachers have an opportunity each week, if they have somebody they want to refer to student services, they can. And we make sure we try to stay on top of that,
Yes.
and our students put their ups around.
Thank you.
And I just like that first, thank you, wonderful presentation. All the decisions are driven, so the data testing specialists and the coach work together. So the decisions are based, everything is data driven now. So we can see who's performing, who isn't performing, where supports are needed and where they're not needed on those. But again, both of these roles are non-evaluative, they're in there to coach, to add tools to the teacher's toolbox to help them hit. The key is every student in that classroom should have access to the same curriculum on that. So what supports you need to reach those students on it? So we are really excited about the changes that are coming, but data drives the decisions, and that's a key thing there. So that's what we're looking to do.
I just have one last question, and thank you both for the update, because I know we had a conversation earlier too. Knowing that's our end goal, to get this kind of equality across all classrooms, across all teachers, across all students, and knowing at this point that we're in that growth period, that we want to ease into this because it is a transition, at what point do we move from transition to ensuring that the service is utilized by all classrooms?
It's a really, really good point. We have to have discussion around a roundtable with our educators so they can have a voice in this. But I would assume that by the time our strategic plan is in place, we'll have a clear roadmap of exactly what this will look like coming into 24, 25, with the expectation that every non-professional status teacher will be utilizing a
coach in some capacity. The coaches aren't just limited to Ms. Reel and Ms. O'Connor. They're the superintendent, the principal, people on the administrative team. We can wear 2 hats. Our first hat is to coach and build capacity for each other, okay? As in for every classroom in this school, I'd like to say we're gonna be talking and we're gonna be having that same common language coming into next year. I mean, that's our ultimate goal. But the reality is, when you're looking at, like I said, 15 years of doing things a certain way, or 10 years of doing things a certain way, it doesn't just change overnight. The culture gets shifted slowly when you see the buy-in that's being created, when you see the proof of it in the pudding on what you're doing each and every single day. So it's going to manifest itself very quickly. To put an exact timestamp on it, can't tell you that, but I can tell you as the belief continues to move forward, which it will because it has to, you're gonna see a lot more people are gonna be, that fairway just goes like this. And then all of a sudden the opportunities go like this for kids. And teaching becomes, you become a facilitator in teaching, which is probably the greatest gift that any educator could ever have, instead of controlling everything that takes place in that classroom. And it's so good for kids. Yes.
How are you educating the coaches?
We're continuously educating. I have a network across the country, which I'm very blessed to have, and I can pick up the phone and call some of the greatest speakers at any time. We always tell people, your continuous growth mindset is on you. It's one of the things you have to do. In education, it's easy to close your classroom door and just do what you feel comfortable with every single day. It's hard to meet every child where they're at. It's hard to offer up best practices for colleagues and be there to help support growth when it looks like it's collaborative growth instead of just individual. So again, that's incumbent upon individuals. We call that professionalism. That happens through our talks and through our evaluation process. And I've always said the evaluation process here in public education is not a gotcha. It's where are we at? How do we get better? And it's always collaborative. And if we look at it that way, you can't lose. You just can't lose.
Additionally, we're working on our curriculum, so everyone in the school is working on their curriculum right now. So we're not just going into the classrooms and doing the coaching all day long, but we're also facilitating the growth and the research in all of our curriculum areas across the board. So it's pretty intense.
Yeah, with a new SOA coming out in April, a new strategic plan coming out, those are roadmaps for success. Those are things that are going to guide us during our growth period. And again, without that, if all you guys are in business, you understand if you don't have a plan on what you're doing, all of a sudden what happens? The money dries up and you don't have jobs.
You get fired?
I never would say that in public education, but I'm just trying to say, there's no growth. And finding the growth in public education comes from within, and it comes with the passion that you bring to the table each and every day. Whether you're a superintendent, whether you're a principal, whether you're a school committee member, you guys are as invested as they are as teachers. And when we all do that, great things happen.
Continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement.
That's
That's
Guy
good.
Zan.
Yeah.
George?
Yeah, through the chair, just regarding curriculum assessment, and we talk about this being data-driven. Although we're not getting full buy-in, we're getting buy-in from non-professional status teachers for obvious reasons. Are we still comparing apples to apples when we're talking about curriculum and assessment, about the people who are buying in and the longtime instructors who may be a little bit leery of buying in? We're still talking about the same curriculum and same assessment standards to make sure that the data that we're getting is accurate.
Yes, it's a non-debatable, only because of the fact that curriculum is airtight. Our scope and sequence is a non-debatable thing. What all of our educators have to agree has to be taught. Methodology is the only thing that you own as a teacher. Your creativity is always up to you. It's up to you to share it. It's up to you to make best practices out of all that stuff. And then, George, to your point, common assessments, which haven't been happening around here, have to happen. We have to have common belief in what we're assessing at certain times during the year so we can monitor that growth. You can always go back to the conversation of MCAS tests, and I can stand before you. I'm not a huge fan of MCAS tests, but I'm a huge fan of good, high-quality teaching. Because good, high-quality teaching and what you do in the classroom every day will prepare you for anything that you're ever going to face in the real world. Problem solving, critical thinking. Okay, we know the tools to help kids be successful, but we want teachers to drive that based on what they do. And that's the most exciting part about bringing people together. And when they see that, when they release the fear or worried about what other people thinking or going on in their class and embrace the opportunity, that's when really mountains start to move.
That's the beauty of all this. And this is what Dr. McGuan's doing behind the scenes right now with common assessments across every curriculum area, talking about that looks like. That's coming into next year. We can't build an entire park in 1 year. So we're taking the lowest hanging fruit and creating an airtight foundation to be able to help jumpstart us into 24, 25. And that's all gonna be predicated, and we hope that you guys can get involved in some capacity on the strategic plan. And people in education before you know how important those are. Those conversations are rich, they're about the future, and they're about the vision of where schools are going to go. So when we talk about curriculum, instruction, and assessment, all those things are super important to have representation from the teaching field, from the parent field, from the business field, everywhere. Because that's how you build that strongest board of everybody's voice. What we do. Then test scores will take care of themselves. I'm excited to see where that goes.
Good. So yeah, Dr. McGuan has pulled together the curriculum across all the program areas. We have a brand new updated program and study for that, and then we're driving common assessments on that. So ensure that the scope and sequence in the curriculum is the same across all grade levels and departments, educational departments, vocational departments on that. And then the next is common assessments. How do we drive that and get real apples to apple comparisons on those? And again, what's available to us right now are the standardized tests. SOA will drive that because they've taken the guesswork out of it. They put a heat chart together and they said, this is your school, address the red. These are the highest areas of concern for the state. So that'll drive the SOA plan for the next 3 years and how we address that and how we increase performance of those subgroups that aren't. So yes, we're pulling it together. Again, that's a great analogy. The ark wasn't built in a year or a day. So we're putting the pieces together. We have that common curriculum across, common scope and sequence, and then the common assessments will come after that. Yeah. But the strategic plan will pull all that together along with the SOA. The SOA is a fraction of the strategic plan because that's everybody, not just the highest needs groups. And we'll pull that together in my remarks. So we'll talk about kicking that off, and we're looking for school committee involvement, teacher involvement, stakeholder involvement, business, industry, students across. So that announcement will be going out, I'll say, now this week. With a clickable link and a barcode or a scan code to do that. Sign up, pick which category you want, academics, vocational, athletics, activities, or things like that. So that's going to go out. Pick your top 3, we'll rank it, we'll pull those teams together, and then we've got a map for 4 Saturdays, 4 hours each Saturday to come together and really drive our strategic plan on that one.
Ms. Reyes.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I think I can help answer your question, George, a little. The science department has started creating a bank of questions that we can pull from for a common assessment. So even if a teacher teaches a certain topic in January and another one likes to do it in September, they'll be able to pull from the bank of questions, assess their kids on it, and compare the data all right online very easily. So it's in progress.
Excellent. Creating repositories.
That's great. I think the consistency is important if we want accurate figures. There's only one way to do that. And then just a quick follow-up, and this is not a criticism, but 5 teachers involved at this point is a low number, and it is difficult. It is difficult for teachers, veteran teachers, to allow that administrator into the classroom because many of them probably have been singing before over the years, and some still believe that it could be a gotcha. If you let someone in, you let them in, now they're going to know what I'm up to, whether I'm doing an excellent job or I'm doing a fair job. It's just a fear that instructors have. What are we doing to increase that buy-in, to increase that number from 5? If we wait to do it through attrition and just focusing on non-professionals, it could take a while to get there.
Yeah, great question, George. We're changing the culture, and it takes a while to change culture, right? So we're changing the culture that an administrator in the classroom isn't there as a gotcha. We're there as coaches, just like Dean said. We're here to coach. I always have viewed the evaluation process as a coaching tool, not a gotcha tool. We spent a lot of money, we've interviewed, we selected you, brought you on because of your strengths, and then we're going to evaluate you on your weaknesses. No, we're here to evaluate you to provide coaching. that's a hard culture to change, right? So we do it through our coaches. They're non-evaluative people, right? So they get in there, you know, they can provide it, they can observe it, they can make recommendations, they can highlight the strengths and go, would you want to go into this classroom where they're struggling with that? Because what I saw today is great. So they share those resources among their colleagues on that, you know. So it is a culture change. It's hard to change a culture anywhere, you know, and if that isn't a year, we're changing a culture that's gonna be here for hopefully, you know, the people that follow us, you know. So we're instituting a practice that we're gonna reap the benefits from down the line from us on it. It's hard to do. Again, what Jen said and what Julie's doing, they're highlighting through their newsletter, you know, teachers that have taken advantage of it, and they're spotlighting that if they allow them to, and sharing that out. So hopefully by saying that, hey, they were in here and they were in Joe's class, and now we highlight Joe, and come see Joe if you want to learn how to use, you know, X, Y, Z and stuff like that. So it is a process. The number seems, I'm really excited that 5, you know, the number seems low, but the strides we're making, having pulled all the curriculum together, having a common scope and sequence across it, and now seeing that they are getting to the classrooms, and more importantly, sharing the data. So I always say it's hard to hit a target if you don't know what you're aiming at. Now we know. So, you know, it's going to take a little bit of time. There is an urgency around it, you know.
We've worked with more than just 5 classes. We work with individual people as well. To put it into context, and I apologize for just cutting in there, but the way we always did it, well, this is how we've always done it, has got to change to why can't we try it this way? Okay, the way we've always done it has gotten us to an academic standpoint right now where we're not where we want to be. And it's not a knock on anybody, it's about putting people in places that can build capacity of the people who are in the trenches, and that's our teachers. And doing it in a way that is non-threatening. And it takes time to grow. Personal growth doesn't happen overnight, especially in this business. I've been doing this a long time. You can be in the middle of the fairway and still be going down the fairway, okay? But it's the impact on learning for every student that's in front of you that counts. If you have one student going out and said they had a bad experience with a teacher, that can be a ripple effect for a child for life. And it's not a knock, because we all have people that we don't always connect and do well with. But we do have a responsibility to sell something, and that's called the curriculum. And that's the one thing that we can control. So over time, it's very, very exciting.
And again, our data is going to show the need for it, not just because, hey, Kyle wants this to happen, or Dean wants this to happen, or hey, we invested in our coaches, so use it. The data shows it that we have a need to it. You alluded to it in the last meeting. It's like looking at our colleagues, and I want to be better. I told you, I love competition. Yes, you know, more importantly, we want every student that walks in here to have the same opportunity to be their best. They're accessing the same curriculum, not that I'm going to share this curriculum because someone predetermined that's all you're capable of. You get the same bite at the apple as everybody else, and you know, every student should leave here knowing that they did their best and they are their best for coming in here. And that's what UEL is all about, hitting every student in that classroom. So the data will show the purpose, you know, and the why is every kid deserves it.
And if our district was ever put on an improvement plan through DESE, they'd be doing all the things we're doing now. So it's incumbent upon us to get in front of these things and get a feel for what they're like. And I'm not saying we're there, I'm just saying that we want to have systems in place that make everybody have an opportunity to be successful, from our staff, to our students, to our parents, an entire group of a learning community. And that's when we start talking about systems, and that's what a strategic plan does. It puts systems in place that helps us grow, helps us have meaningful conversations. We may not agree on everything, and that's okay to not agree on everything. But we do have to agree the common denominator is what is best for every child that walks through our doors. And we gotta find that, and that's on us, professionally. So thank you. Good
Thank you
questions.
both very much.
Thank you.
Just one last follow-up. How are shops affected by this? I could see where this would tie kind of into the related theory.
That's a great question.
However, on the practical sense, is there anything that we're doing to lead on that?
We're working with instructors in the shops now, just like we are in academics. Because methodology is methodology. Now, the time you have with a student in a shop is 6 hours versus 2 blocks of time you have with your students in an academic world.
but connecting with kids and having a clear scope and sequence of framework and standards. We're also doing that with the shops to ensure that we're all grounded there. Now we are also bringing into our best practices, our UDL practices, into the shop world as well. And if anybody's struggling, we know that, we're down there trying to help them out, providing that
I've
support.
been working with HVAC instructors.
Excellent. So we're, it's getting there. It's, like I said, it's right on the edge of exploding into something really special. But it does take time. It takes time. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we have up is the adoption of the FY25 school budget. So what I'd like to ask is if there's any objections to waiving the review of the same presentation that we went through in the public hearing. Are there any objections to that? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll ask if there's any questions relative to the budget. And just understand too that the adoption of the FY budget, just as a refresher to everyone, it does require a 2/3 vote, and it does need to be a roll call vote. But before we move into that process, are there any final questions or comments relative to the budget? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion for adoption of the budget. And whoever makes the motion, if I could just ask you to work into that motion that the budget is subject to the final approval of the state budget numbers, which are worked into the preliminary budget that was discussed this evening.
I'm for it.
Okay.
So I move that we adopt the fiscal 25 Bay Path Regional School budget pursuant to final state budget numbers.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll move into a roll call vote. Mr. Beelen?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mr. Rennie has stepped away. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Lamont?
Yes.
Ms. Lente?
Yes.
Mr. Montville? Yes. Ms. Pantos?
Yes.
Mr. Peter Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Tim Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Scobie?
Yes.
Mr. Taveri?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mr. Wetzel?
Yes.
Mr. Zukowski?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. So the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item we have up on the new business is approval of the 2024-25 school calendar.
Sure, through the chair, the superintendent director and the principal recommend the school committee vote to approve the 2024-2025 school calendar as submitted. I do want to amend the write-up prior to that where it says, attached to this memo, please find the proposed 24-25 school calendar. Please note that the first day for teachers is Monday, August 26th. That's correct. Grade 9 students will report on Monday, August 19th. The August 19th is an orientation day. That's not the first day of school for grade 9 students. That's an orientation day. And the first day of school for all students will be August 28th on that.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item, ratify Secretaries Association Collective Bargaining Agreement that spans July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2026.
To the chair of the negotiation subcommittee and the superintendent director recommend the school committee vote to ratify the Bay Path Secretaries Association's collective bargaining agreement dated July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2026 as written.
So moved.
Motion and second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item E, employment policies. We have financial aid administrator and IT network specialist and athletic director policies.
Through the chair of the negotiation subcommittee and the superintendent director recommend the school committee vote to approve the financial aid administrator, the IT network specialist, and the athletic director employment policies as submitted.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item F, approval of the out-of-state field trip for veterinary science.
Through the school chair, the superintendent director, the vocational director, and the principal recommend the school committee vote to approve the out-of-state veterinary science field trip to the Mystic Aquarium located in Mystic, Connecticut on Monday, May 6th for 2 instructors, chaperones, and 20 students.
So moved.
Second,
Questions or comments?
it's a great aquarium. It's fabulous.
Comment noted. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item G, awarding of the 2024-25 house project.
Through the chair, the superintendent director, the vocational director, and the house selection committee recommend the school committee vote to award the 24-25 house project to Miss Sandra Valancourt for a 2,000 square foot single level house to be built at 97 Old Southbridge Road, Dudley, Mass.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Short.
I know that we had a fair amount of applicants, from what I understand, but there was only one individual who followed through. Was there going to be a follow-up survey of sorts? Do we have answers to why the interest kind of waned?
Through the school chair, yes and no. Yes, there was a follow-up survey conducted, phone call to each one of the applicants. No definitive answer as to why there wasn't a follow-through on it. Everything was across, like, I just thought I'd look at it. Mr. Tripp, can you add anything? I'm trying to think off the top. But there was no useful definitive data. That's it, if we do this.
So the chair, same as Superintendent Brenner said, a lot of interest in how it works, but not a lot of follow through or sincere interest. They were just window shopping at some point. So how do we improve on that? Going to work with the construction crew on developing additional policies for next year on advertisement. Take their recommendations.
Yeah, I'll just add, so what we're also gonna do is take the video tour of the house and put that on the website as well, so the proof is in the pudding. They see the product, I think we'll get, more interest in that, so, right now it's just a tour, people show up for it, but if we can do that virtual tour and put that on the website and make that part of our advertising campaign, we already saw an uptick in the number of people who picked up an application. So we're hoping maybe that'll drive completion of the submittal on that as well.
Was there any outreach from the point when an applicant picked up an application? Do we do any outreach to find out, hey, do you have any questions, are there roadblocks, or something we can do to help to ensure that any roadblocks are cleared to allow you to submit the application?
So what we're gonna propose is also, after the pickup, a town hall virtual meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Where those are being very successful for like accepted parent night, or just rather than have them come in, everybody can tune in and do a town hall question and answer and be available. Like, hey, what about this, and how do we do that, and offer that service as well. So be proactive about it.
Right.
And for everybody who picks one up, pick a date, jump online, and we'll have people available to answer the questions and kind of walk through that.
Perfect. All right, we have a motion and a second on the table. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item H, approval of out-of-state field trip for cabinet making.
Through the chair, the superintendent director, the vocational director, and the principal recommend the school committee vote to approve the cabinet making out-of-state field trip to the JLC Live Residential Construction Trade Show located at the Rhode Island Convention Center in Providence on March 22nd for 3 instructor chaperones and 26 students.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any questions or comments?
That's a great show.
Is it?
Yeah. Used to go every year, but yeah.
You probably run into some BayPath students, huh?
Yeah, more than one. school goes. I mean, there's quite a few students there. But a lot of good tech info, those shows.
Which should be a good experience for them. All right, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. We'll move to information and proposals. Item 1, Superintendent Director.
Through the chair, I submitted a written report. I'll prepare to answer any questions. Highlights from the report are, it's the traveling road show, so we'll be going to our 10 towns to present our budget to the FinCom. The dates, the scheduled ones are listed there. Hot off the press, Auburn is the 6th. April 6th. I just put it on my calendar. April 4th. April 4th at 6, there's the number, 6, right? It is our advisory, but that was the only night, so it's a conflict on that. But that's at 6, so it's April 4th. But anybody's welcome. If you need places or any information, just let me know. Admissions went out. Some of you may have received some calls from waitlisted families or students on that. 325 acceptances went out and over 350 wait lists went out. So we're going through the process. We know that not all 325 will accept. They have choices, and we'll pick off that wait list as those decline the acceptance come off on that and stuff. And there's an appeal process which we highlight through our admissions as well, how they can formally appeal a decision on that. And
Got it? Okay.
the highlights.
Any questions for the superintendent? Seeing none, we'll move on to subcommittee reports. First up, audit subcommittee. Mr. Caldwell.
Report.
Budget subcommittee, Mr. Short.
We completed our cycle, ending this evening with a public hearing, and thank everyone who was involved in that.
Building and grounds.
I'd just like to ask Superintendent Brenner to update us a little bit, because he does have a little bit of information on the solar fields. Thank you.
Absolutely. So through the chair, and thank you, Don. I reached out to Amoresco, who gave us the proposal for the solar array, and they got back to me today. So they're willing to look at that and update the proposal based on the new photovoltaic requirements, the elimination of net metering for National Grid, as well as where we stand in the incentives. So they'll update how many panels we'll need to hit the same bogey for kilowatt hours, and then any indicative pricing of what that is on that. So we're looking, they'll pull that together and send it over. That'll help drive our next steps in terms of, is it feasible to use that money for athletic masters, and how much money that is, and so forth on that. So when those numbers come out, we'll convene the, well, I'm speaking for you. Don will convene the subcommittee, and we'll look at those and move forward with that.
Thank you.
So one question to that, what year did they provide the proposal, original proposal?
2018. Yeah, 2018, so a lot has changed. In terms of the cells too. Incentives we're much later in that incentive cycle. And National Grid, the net metering is no longer available to National Grid territory on that. So it will change. It will change.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, thank you. Negotiation subcommittee.
This evening, we ratified the Secretaries Association contract and also the employment policies for the financial aid administrator. We had a meeting earlier this evening at 6 o'clock to go through all of these. Also, we've been having ongoing administrative negotiations with the administrative union. The last one was February 28th, it was a Zoom. And the next one is March 20, which will be a in-person here at school. So that's where we are, it's ongoing. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, David. Policy Subcommittee.
Nothing to report.
The only thing I would add, before the meeting tonight, I asked the superintendent if we had heard anything from MASC regarding our policy review, which we have not yet. So the superintendent said that he'll be following up with Tracy to find out where that process stands and when they're gonna start to engage us for that review. The warrant subcommittee, as noted, the warrants are circulating. Item D, future business. Our next regular school committee meeting will be right here on April 1st. April 1st, April Fool's Day. Jeez, who picked that day? At 7 p.m. Feel free to reach out to myself, Cheryl, superintendent, with any agenda items you may want to have added. Remarks from the superintendent?
Through the chair, I just want to echo the congratulations to our winter sports. Everybody knows that the girls varsity Colonial League champs, large school vocational state champs, made it to the first round of the MIA tournament on that. Our boys made it to the first round of the MIA tournament as well. And hot off the presses, our bowling team, along with the cheerleaders, had a phenomenal weekend. Cheerleaders missed first place by less than 1 point in the final competition of the season. And the team of Charisse Berthium, Nicholas Da Silva, Dylan Kawat Chantatara, Julian Raplana, Trevor Amaral, and Darius Gonzalez, and Nico Yakoves finished 9th in the state bowling tournament held in Chicopee over the weekend. So congratulations to them. Sarah Kemsky finished tied for 8th in the individual event. So again, tremendous effort by our athletics this winter, and we're looking forward to the spring season. Our strategic plan, the flyer will come out this week, by the end of the week. It's easy, there's a scan code, or you can just click on the link to sign up, and you'll see the different categories that we're looking for your interest. Just rank them 1 through 3, top choice, second, third. We reserved up to 4 Saturdays to go through this from 8 to 12, lunch and coffee and inclusive of that. And subcommittees may have a couple virtual meetings in between on that. So if you want to be a part of the change, have your voices heard, share the wealth, share the flyer. It's going out to our advisory council, it's going out to parents, and it's going out to the staff as well as school committee. So as soon as that's ready for send, we'll push that out to you. So we're really looking forward to that.
All right, thank you. Comments from the committee? Mike, good. Thank you. Johnson?
I just had a quick question for Kirsten. Is it a combined prom this year, junior, senior, or is it just junior and senior?
They're still separate.
They're
Yeah.
still separate. Where's the senior? Did you mention where the senior prom's going to be?
The senior prom's at the Southbridge Conference Center.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
And congratulations to the teams also, just to echo Superintendent.
I just, don't forget to vote tomorrow, if anybody can forget. It's exciting, sorta. In a crazy sort of way, it's very exciting.
Spoken well from the former town clerk.
Right.
That's that. Debbie?
I just want to say thank you to those teachers who gave up their February break to come in and help fight that chronic absenteeism and help those kiddos kind of get back on the right track. So thank you, kudos to them.
Thanks, Mary.
All set.
I'll ditto the congratulations to a wonderful winter sport, both boys and girls. Tremendous
I would echo that sentiment. Congratulations to the winter sports team, to the coaches, the athletic director, who I think is doing a fantastic job all around. And then thank you for the presentation tonight from the coaching team. That was very thorough and in depth. Really appreciated that.
Joe?
Question for Mr. Grenier, what time is that negotiation in person on the 20th?
That was
4:30, I think.
4:30? I know the Zoom was scheduled for 4:30, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it, Jim, I'll let you know.
Okay,
I
great.
got it written, yeah.
Congratulations to the sports team, that's just great. It's really uplifting to see that Facebook post, that they won and all the kids smiling, and so Yeah, great presentation tonight. Like I said, if Mr. Packer doesn't get you excited about education, something's wrong. That's all I have.
4 o'clock, Jim.
Okay, 4 o'clock?
Well,
Well, if I may, we're gonna have our memorial in the Thursday before Memorial Day, which is on May 23rd. And we're gonna do a memorial honor, inviting our school committee member, deceased Bob Wilby, his wife and 2 children. And I've begun preparations for the memorial service. And I'd like to personally invite every school committee member to please try to attend for this solemn but necessary. I'd also like to request, being a 48-year member of the Lions Club, and Bay Path has a Leo's Lions Club that was begun by Bob Wilby. I would like to know if they could also be excused from school to attend the service, being Lions, as Bob's past years of service to the Lions. And we'll proceed from there.
That was the Thursday before Memorial Day.
23rd. Al, did you give a time on that?
9 AM, 23rd.
It's a Thursday. Yeah.
okay, thank you all. Peter?
Congratulations to the athletic teams. Great year for the girls. That's about it.
Just gonna say, great presentations all today, budget over here, so really appreciate it. Sorry to miss you last month, I had COVID. So. I used my judgment, I felt sick, I used my judgments to stay away, and it was COVID. So.
Don and Peter especially, thank you.
Yeah, I know, that's exactly what I thought of.
Thanks, Don. Bob?
Well, we congratulate the winter teams, the girls. Also, congratulations to the coaches and to all the students and parents that have supported these teams throughout the season. That's it.
All right, thank you.
All set.
Kirsten, any final words? Okay. I'll echo the sentiment. Congratulations to our sporting teams. Mary, thank you for calling out everyone who came in during the break to help work through some of the absenteeism issues. And, again, thank you for the update on the curriculum. Great overview once again tonight. We'll really look forward to hearing more about that, how it progresses, and how we get more involved in it as well. So, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?